hello, and welcome to episode number 427 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I am Carlos, and in this week's show, Ryanair's Michael O'Leary upsets me. We take a look at the Skytrax Awards, but where did BA place? And one airline is going all Pikachu. In the military news this week, we get an update from the CV-22 Osprey recovery operations. It's all going well. And the Hurricane Hunter P3 Orion launches a new drone technology into Hurricane Ian. So joining me this week, and he's not stressed one little bit, it's Matt Smith.
I'm not actually. No, I'm quite chilled out about it because I'm now, not that anybody particularly cares, but I'm now on holiday for 2 whole weeks.
Open the beer then. Open the beer.
I have. Look, I've got a very nice. Explain what this is. What is this? The Modelo? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a mix between like a crafty and then like an ale kind of thing. It's nice. It's got quite a hoppy flavour.
It's delicious. That's what it is.
It's very nice. It's one of those ones you see on those celebrity programs. A lot of the celebs drink that stuff.
Oh, do they? Well, obviously, I'm an aviation podcast celebrity. Obviously,
I this evening I've got a nice New England IPA,
right?
Just for the benefit of the listeners.
Okay.
Anyway, so
as you were,
joining us this week as always. Hello. Joining us this week as always. He's back from doing about 4.5 billion hours in the aircraft this week with BA. It is, of course, Neville Bounds.
It certainly felt like it. It's been a very hectic week. Been in Stockholm and other parts of Sweden all week. Got back yesterday morning, and it was quite the journey. Lots of train delays and derailments and all the rest of it. But I'm back to tell the story, so that's good.
Sounds like you've had a fascinating time.
Yeah, certainly hectic. And the next few weeks is just. I mean, obviously I like flying, but I mean there are limits. You know.
Are there? Wow. Okay, you heard it here first, people.
Have you not got to that stage yet, Nev, where because of the amount of airports that you frequently fly into and out of, is there not a thing now where you go in these airports and the staff know who you are?
No, I think
it's quite a turnover, to be fair.
I think we're a long way off that somehow. I've just got to give a quick shout out to the Jersey Customs and Excise people. They have actually been brilliant. Again, when we took the camera to Jersey, we had to do a bit of carnet business, and they phoned me up today, said it's all gone through and here's your money back as well. So that's great, and so nice. They're so accommodating, and their form's a little bit complicated to fill out, and obviously I've got a pea-sized brain, so I'm not very clever with this sort of stuff, but they were absolutely brilliant, and they've been so accommodating, so that's been a nice change, I must say.
Very refreshing.
Yeah, it's good. They were nice. They were good. It was a pleasant airport to go through. I will say that, Jersey. Yeah. But he's back again this week. We've managed to get him back on the show again, which is always good to have him on the show.
2 weeks in a row. This is a bit exciting.
It's 2 weeks in a row. I know. It is. It's safe to say that over the last few days, I think Armando has been chasing the storm, particularly last night as well. So, Armando, welcome back.
Hello, guys. Hello, listeners. Hello, everybody in the chat room. I'm just happy to be here, actually. I am on the outer bands of Hurricane Ian right now as it hits Charleston. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But here in Charlotte, it's pretty rare to get a hurricane. And I think the last one was in 2018, something like that. But it's pretty blustery outside. If we lose Armando today, you'll know why. It's because the internet got knocked out.
To be fair, it's picked up rather horribly here as well. When I got positively wet when I went and dropped a laptop off to Carlos earlier on this evening. That was most unpleasant.
I have to say, I've seen. I expect you have as well, Matt. You've seen the reports on the news with the floods that have been going on over in the States. It's been mad.
It has. It really has.
Really, really bad.
Yeah.
They've been hit really bad. Yeah. Hopefully, you'll be safe anyway on Monday.
Is there much expected where you are? Because as you say, you sort of managed to fly around the outskirts of it basically, but I presume it's coming your way, is it?
It is. The hurricane is currently in hurricane form, and it is hitting Charleston, South Carolina, which is just a few hundred miles south of here. The problem for us here in the Central Carolinas, it's going to linger. So it's going to come up the coast, kind of hang out, and then the way the weather patterns are right now, it's just going to linger here for the next couple of days as it does a loop-de-loop and then goes back out to sea.
Right.
So over the next 48 hours or so, we're going to get just kind of socked with rain and some winds. So yeah, just it is what it is.
Wow.
So, you got any preparation to do, Armando, or is it not going to be bad enough?
No, not for us. Not this far inland. We've got the refrigerator pretty well stocked. It's always funny when hurricanes and storms and winter storms hit, and everybody goes to the grocery store and gets milk, bread, and like cheese, and was like, "What are you gonna make milk sandwiches?" What like? I'd rather have a fridge full of frozen meats, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand what goes through people's minds when they're storm prepping, but I'm perfectly happy to pick up the scraps and just get pints and pints of ice cream and I guess toilet paper. You're right, Micah. Ice cream and toilet paper. That's all you need to survive.
Very important. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember, Nev, that storm, that hurricane we had back in, was it 1987? 87, was it? 87.
Yes.
Yeah. And the whole country was brought to a standstill.
Yes, there was lots of... it was the same story, wasn't it? It was toilet paper, cheese, milk, and... Oh, the newspapers, that's right, yes, because obviously there was not much in the way of... Well, there was no social media then at all, so that was the only way you could get your news apart from the...
But it's the panic buying that annoys me with stuff like that, isn't it? You just sort of think, well, if everybody had to, it's like everybody's assuming they're going to be cut off from the rest of the world for like 3 or 4 weeks, and in reality, these days that just isn't the case, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, we get 3 or 4 snowflakes here, and we're completely
shut down the country.
Shut down. Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, lovely though this is. Yeah,
I know. Let's move on. So thanks to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. We'll have a look in the family members list. We've got Dirk S. Good evening. Richard Adams. Mazouz is also in there. We've got our main man, Micah. He's wielding the blue spanner of doom, as always. We've got Masha. Hello to you, Masha. Hope you're well. John Jester is in there. Bill is in there as well. Bill Aronek, hello to you as well. Good to see you in there. Richard Adams, Neil Lamworn, hello to you. Tony S, hello to you, Tony. Good to see you as well in the chat room. Let's make sure I haven't missed anyone out. Arnie, I said hello to Arnie's stocked up on frozen broccoli and meatballs. So he's fine. He's going to get through this. Don't forget, if you're listening to our glorious voices via the audio podcast realm, don't forget, if you want to chalk, John, you put me right
John's
off
back.
there.
Yay.
John's back, putting everyone off since... Anyway, you can listen to us via YouTube and watch us on YouTube because we all look so stunningly gorgeous every week. Well, Armando does anyway. Don't forget to look for us on YouTube. It's...
Oh, I do wish we could share the audio with you.
I wish we could let everyone listen to what John has to say. Look for us on YouTube, search for us, Plain Talking UK, hit the subscribe button, not literally, but just give it a little click, and the bell icon as well, which is right next door to be notified when we are live, like we are now, because we would love to have you all in the chat room.
Live.
So we've got loads of news to get through. We've got a great interview as well coming up, the second part, haven't we, Nev, of that brilliant interview we've got. Yeah. But we've got commercial news to to kick off with. So if all the team's ready.
Oh, yeah.
Ready? Let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
Well, as you guys can imagine, we are going to continue talking. We're going to kick off the show talking about Hurricane Ian here in the United States. We're on day 3 of this right now. I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, we're going to find, some news stories and share some probably good and bad stories about the chaos caused by this hurricane. But as you guys can imagine, over the last couple of days, there's been just on the commercial side of the house, thousands and thousands of cancellations of flights. I think Thursday and Friday saw somewhere close to 2,000 cancellations. And as we've talked about here on the show plenty of times, when something happens in a region of the country, it affects the entire system. So there's, I was looking at FlightAware's misery map. If you guys haven't looked at that, it shows you where the most air travel misery is in the country. And with a hurricane hitting Florida and the Carolinas, Chicago O'Hare, New York City, even San Francisco, Denver are actually all backed up because there's no place for those airplanes to go, or the airplanes are stuck in Florida type thing. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about the commercial aspect. But this first story that we wanted to talk about is actually from Southeast Florida, General Aviation hub down there, North Perry Airport, which I've been to. General Aviation in the U.S. and the Caribbean, it's vital to both transport and supplies. And that was heavily impacted over the last couple of days when thunderstorm cells actually spawned some tornadoes in the Miami-Dade and Broward County areas. The Miami GA community was hit especially hard. Matt is sharing some pictures that came off of Twitter, I think, initially. That is from North Perry Airport, which actually has 4 FBOs, 148 T hangars, more than 40 aviation businesses just at that one airport. And if anybody has traveled here to the U.S. and to Florida, Central and South Florida are hubs of general aviation. So this is just one airport where they reported more than 30 damaged aircraft. I'm sure we're going to see more and more of that. But you can see in the photos that the aircraft are flipped upside down. The wings are partially hanging off. But we're probably going to see that from more than a few different general aviation airports in Central and South Florida, and maybe even here in the Carolinas. Now, the one place where I'm actually supposed to go to as soon as the weather clears, we're kind of on standby, is the Naples airport. So Naples is just south of Fort Myers and south of Tampa on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Now, this airport, like many others, is shut down by Hurricane Ian. It reopened to civilian traffic on limited basis today, but that is more for just humanitarian relief. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But along with most of the city, the airport was completely flooded by storm surge when Hurricane Ian came ashore. And it did come ashore as a Category 4, almost Category 5 storm. It drugged the boats that we've seen inland. It washed away homes and businesses and cars. Now, the control tower resumed operations this morning. The airport is currently open only from dawn till dusk due to damage to airport signage and lighting systems. Access to hangars is also limited. Now, we're going to talk about this in a second, but most of these airports, or a lot of these airports right now, are operating with a PPR system, a prior permission required, where you need a slot to go in there. There are very limited instrument approaches, very limited air traffic control services in there. But as you can imagine, the repair crews are scrambling to get these airports back up to speed. And the field elevation at most of them is under 10 feet. So if it's a coastal airport with that low, close to the water, the storm surge is going to affect that also. Now the forecast for now, right now, the storm has kind of turned north. It became a tropical storm for a little bit as it went over land, then gained strength again, became a Category 1 hurricane. It is, as we speak, just hitting landfall in Charleston, South Carolina. It's expected to kind of affect the Carolinas, including Charlotte here over the next 48 hours or so, with maximum winds of up to 75 miles per hour. Kind of a side note story. This, we were looking forward to the Artemis launch, the unmanned mission to the moon. So that has obviously that mission was scrubbed a couple times for technical issues, and then once the weather started coming in right before Ian, they took the launch vehicle back inside its hangar or the vehicle assembly building, as they call it. So that's been scrubbed, and we'll talk about that when it gets rescheduled. A little bit later in the military news, we'll show some NOAA video. If you guys remember, we episodes 268 and 270. So that seems like ages ago. We did some interviews with both the Air Force Hurricane Hunter crews and the NOAA, National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration P3 Orion crews, and those episodes are still valid. They're awesome missions that those guys are doing. But in the military section, we're going to talk about some new technology that they used for Hurricane Ian. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll see what comes out of this. Be thankful you guys don't have hurricanes over there.
Yeah, I must admit that is one of the few events we don't have to worry about, isn't it? Really, and I'm not trying to make light of this in any way, shape, or form. But I have to say, when we have strong storms here in the UK, they have the most weird names. It's so nice to just hear a storm labelled Storm Ian rather than Storm Doris or anything like that. It's slightly refreshing. I've got to be honest. But I mean, this is. Again, I'm not trying to belittle it, but I mean, you guys are sort of like almost geared up for this, aren't you? Because these are quite common events in the States.
Yeah. And I grew up in Puerto Rico. Everybody now the Puerto Rico's infrastructure is as well as can be prepared for it, but it's still not great. We are prepared. If you live in Puerto Rico, if you live in Florida, you kind of live in the Carolinas, you expect it. If you live in Texas and New Mexico and Oklahoma, then you know that you're going to have tornadoes. If you live in New York, you know you're going to have severe winter storms, and if you live in California, your house is probably going to be on fire at some point. Indeed. So,
well, and of course, friend of the show, Dan, of course, actually goes to Texas storm chasing, literally for that reason, doesn't he? So.
Yeah.
I don't get it either. Yeah. It's just like
I flew in this, not in the storm by any means, but
on the cusp.
It was the cusp. Yeah, I did have a flight to do last night out to the coast. We were kind of getting one of our clients has some coastal properties, and they were getting it ready, the last minute preparations. So we flew them out there. It was pretty good. It was we did a good safety decision. We involved everybody. So both myself, the client, the maintenance director, we had a good conversation as to whether or not we were going to execute the flight, and we had good backup plans if we scrubbed, if we got in the air and decided it's not looking great. Or we also had a backup plan for if we got on the ground and the weather came in a little bit faster than forecasted. But those aviation decisions are taking place daily, and we executed a pretty good mission, like you said, Carlos, right on the cusp of the outer bands, and it was surprisingly uneventful. It was just as we say, light chop pretty much the whole way, but no big issue. But that was yesterday.
Well, we got a bit of rain here at the minute anyway, and a little bit of wind.
Yes, yep.
Well, what's the worst could happen? Anyway, next story.
Woe is us, eh? Yeah, right.
I know. Heaven forbid we get over 10-knot wind here.
Oh, steady.
So next story is coming to us from simpleflying.com, and Michael O'Leary has really me off.
Oh.
This is Air Malta will never make a profit, according to Ryanair's Michael O'Leary. He said that he does not expect Air Malta to be ever profitable. The comment came as the low-cost carrier continues growing in Malta, while the flag carrier struggles to remain afloat. However, that doesn't mean the end of the state-backed carriers, according to O'Leary. Even when it's bankrupt, which Air Malta's is, government will find a way to keep it alive. He said he doesn't think that Air Malta will disappear, but he says he thinks it will go to prove to be very difficult to make it break even. It will never make a profit, he said. The reason behind this is Air Malta's fleet size of only 8 aircraft, said O'Leary, and the lack of planes means the carrier is unable to offer the maximum competitive routes and will be undercut by low-cost giants which can offer cheaper services across Europe by basing more planes in the country instead. Important to note that the Ryanair Group owns subsidiary carrier Malta Air, which operates most of the routes to and from the country. The joint venture with the government was set up in 2019, and Malta Air currently has 149 aircraft over approximately 30 bases. They operate the French and German Italian bases for Ryanair. The government of Malta is currently awaiting a decision from the European Commission on a proposed bailout of Air Malta to safeguard the competition among airlines. EC rules strictly limit state aid to once every 10 years. Last year, the government asked for permission to inject 290 million euros or $297 million into Air Malta, but that was refused, with the EC taking or asking for a more realistic figure. In 2012, the EC had allowed the government to grant Air Malta a 130 million euro or $133 million on the condition that no more government intervention would be necessary. Apparently, negotiations between the two are ongoing, but reports suggest they will fail. Reports indicate the government had established advanced plans to dissolve Air Malta later this year and transfer its few remaining assets to a new airline, achieved possibly by its other airline, Malta Med Air, the vehicle for the transition. Malta Med Air, which offers wet lease charters, already has an Air Operator Certificate, or AOC, and 3 Airbus A320-200 aircraft. Under the plan, all of the airline's employees will be made redundant and heavily reduced contracts drawn up for those offered jobs by the new airline. Now, I know for a fact that Air Malta have been in the proverbial for quite a while now, for quite a few years actually, and they're still here, they're still flying.
But is that, as O'Leary is saying, is because basically they keep being bailed out by the government?
I agree with what he says in regards to their fleet size. I think that they did miss a trick by not expanding their fleet size really to provide more routes and stuff. But as an airline and as a passenger who's flown on Air Malta a number of times over many years, it's a really good airline to fly. You know, there's not many airlines where the ticket you pay for online includes your whole baggage in the price. Most airlines, that is an extra additional charge, whereas Air Malta's is included. And it's a nice obviously it's a nice airline, but they are having issues, and it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of the next 6 months with the airline. Obviously, with the summer season just coming to an end, things will start to slow down on the island, although it is a popular winter destination for us Brits over in Malta. But fingers crossed the airline will keep going, apart from having a great paint scheme on the aircraft, which it does, the Air Malta livery. But yeah, it's a shame. We'll see what happens with those guys.
Yeah, it's yeah, I get where you're coming from, Carlos, but I do worry, and I know he's guilty of like going for headlines and all that kind of thing, but there is a strong chance he knows what he's talking about.
Well, they do operate a lot of flights into there. I mean, We've flown over there with them to Malta a number of times with Ryanair, and the flights are cheaper.
70 routes, John is saying in our ear. Yeah, that's wow. Okay.
I think just before we move on, one of the things that does let Air Malta down slightly is that the flights that go from the UK to there are not the best times.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
not the best times of flights.
Well, and I'm sorry to also say, but it's probably cheaper to do it with Ryanair.
What we need is this guy still operating behind me here.
Who's
Courtline.
That? Oh right. Oh dear. Right.
Remember those, Nev? The days of Courtline?
Yes, very much so. Yes, the holiday, inclusive tour packages, wasn't it?
Oh, very good. Right.
So, Matt, you've got the next one, and it's Virgin. That's a big story for Virgin, this one.
Yeah, it is. I think so. I mean, we've sort of touched on this before, haven't we? Because this has been on the cards for a while, but it's, the policy's been updated again. We did it with Alaska as well a while back. It's thepointsguy.com and Virgin's own website that we're taking the details from this. I'll share with you some photographs, technology permitting, as well on this. He says, trying to find the right screen. That'll teach me. I was trying to be so clever. Anyway, Virgin Atlantic has introduced an update to its gender identity policy that allows cabin crew, pilots and ground teams to choose which of the iconic Vivian Westwood designed uniforms best represents them, no matter their gender identity or gender expression. In a move that cements its position as the most inclusive airline in the skies, Virgin Atlantic will offer its people a fluid approach to its red and burgundy Vivian Westwood designed uniforms. This means that LGBTQ plus colleagues will be able to choose whether the red or burgundy uniform, depending on which best reflects themselves. Virgin Atlantic has also updated its ticketing system, and customers holding a passport with gender-neutral gender markers will now be able to select U or X gender codes on their booking and use the gender-neutral title MX. Currently, it's only citizens from a small number of countries, including the US, India and Pakistan, that are able to hold these passports, and travellers must travel on the codes that match their passport. But Virgin Atlantic is working on a longer term plan to amend communication preferences so that customers will be addressed by their preferred pronouns whenever they interact with the airline. So let's take a look at some of the uniforms then. I mean, it's all very, very inclusive. I guess at the end of the day, they need to feel comfortable, don't they? And if that's how they feel comfortable when they're at work, then that's absolutely how it should be. I, for one, am a big fan of this. Can I just say, I'm loving the cast on there. I know this is just obviously a sort of a celebrity photo of people in there, but I'm a big fan of just a big fan of Michelle Visage, I have to say. But yeah, there we go. It's a great little story, and amen to that. Basically, I think it's the way forward.
So, Nev, you have got. So I'm just scrolling through my show notes, just gone all doolally. Nev, you've got the next. Yeah, I know. It's this OneNote. Honestly, this OneNote's a nightmare. Nev, you've got the next story, and it's all about Skytrax Awards.
Yeah, we used to talk a lot about these, didn't we, in the past, but because they've not actually had any real events. This is on the traveltomorrow.com. After 2 years of virtual awards ceremonies, the 2022 World Airline Awards event returned to normal procedures, with airlines from around the world attending the 2022 awards ceremony held at the historic Langham Hotel in London. I've been there myself. I've had a very nice afternoon tea there. It's just opposite the BBC in West London. Widely regarded as the Oscars of the aviation industry, the World Airline Awards began in 1999 and remained totally independent and impartial, with all of the customer survey costs and awards events paid by the organisers, Skytrax. So, out of the 350 airlines surveyed, we have a top 20. And there's some really interesting ones in there in terms of where they feature as well. So number 20 is Vistara. Number 19, Virgin Atlantic. I thought they would be higher up. Yeah. Number 18, Eva Air. 17 is KLM. 16 is Cathay Pacific. Again, quite surprising. I thought they'd be right up in the top 5 somewhere. Number 15 is Lufthansa. 14, Hainan Airlines. 13, China Southern. Number 12 is Etihad Airways. Only to number 11 is British Airways. But they're 8 places higher up than Virgin Atlantic. That's all I'm going to say about that. Number 10, Swiss International Airlines. Number 9, Korean Air. Number 8, Air France. Seriously? Number 7, Turkish Airlines. Number 6, Japan Airlines. Number 5, Qantas Airways. 4 is ANA All Nippon Airways. 3 is Emirates. Hardly a surprise. Number 2 is Singapore Airlines. And right at the top there is Qatar, which I would kind of expect as well. So it'll be interesting to know about all the parameters, but the all that link will be in the show notes anyway, so you can have a look at it for yourself. But it's good that these awards are back, isn't it? So I think it's good stuff.
Agreed.
it's not surprising, when the Middle East carriers get all the sort of heavy weight as such. I was looking online last night at a video that Emirates have put up recently of showcasing their premium economy cabins. I know we've talked about it on the show before in the last few weeks, but it looks stunning as a premium economy offering. It really does look good.
You know what's crazy? I've never flown any of the Middle East carriers.
Wow.
I've never flown Qatar. I've never flown Emirates. I was supposed to be on Japan Airlines on that Tokyo trip, but that got canceled. Yeah.
Wow.
I have yet to experience this higher class of travel.
Oh, you need to first fly with me then, Armando.
That's true. Coming from the guy who flies private jets, but I want somebody to serve me a meal. Somebody told me that once, right? That's like, it's great that you fly private jets around the world, but you know what the goal should be? To sit in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not the front.
Quite.
So, Armando, you've got the next story and all about Aviation making history.
Yeah, if you're watching us on the YouTube feed, you actually get a little bit of a preview of that from Flying Magazine, News Atlas, and a bunch of other different websites out there and social media. On episode 396, we did talk about the taxi tests for this airplane, but Aviation is showing some pretty extravagant runway wheelies. Alice, which is what they're calling the world's first all-electric commuter aircraft, lifted off overnight on a historic flight, another major milestone towards zero emissions medium range air travel. Alice took off at 7:10 in the morning from Grant County International Airport in Washington State, made a short 8-minute circuit, reaching an altitude of about 3,500 feet or about 1,000 meters before coming in for a touchdown. CEO Greg Davis said, "You witnessed the first of a new type of propulsion system, a new integrated system. This is the biggest change in aviation propulsion technology since we went from the Super Constellation to the 707. Now, Alice's spec sheet has become a bit less impressive over the last year or so. As well, when we first looked at the aircraft in 2021, the 9-seat luxury machine was running an interesting 3-prop propulsion system and a V-tail and a promising 506-mile flight to a charge. Now the tail's a T-shape. There's just 2 props, and the claimed range has dwindled to 288 miles, which just barely makes it from Charlotte to the coast. The back's takeoff weight is now 18,400 pounds from 14,000. And on the positive side, the max speed is now up from 253 miles per hour up to just shy of 300 miles per hour. So there we go. Pretty cool looking airplane, though.
It is actually, isn't it? Yeah, it's starting to finally take shape, isn't it? This whole sort of doing the electric thing is sort of beginning to come to fruition, isn't it?
It is.
That flight deck, that wraparound flight deck window it just looks awesome.
Yeah, and do you guys remember Sean Van Hatten? We had him on the show last year. So he is a test pilot for the Stratos jet, and they have a similar project going on where they're trying to revolutionize, sort of hybrid propulsion, and we should have him back on the show because it's a pretty cool airplane that they're working on over there amongst all these other manufacturers.
Absolutely. It's
so
yeah.
Oh, carry on.
No, go on,
Matt.
No.
No, I was. We've got lots.
Could you do me a small
favour
favour and just bring your mic up a little bit, please? Oh, Neil Lamwan is saying the Super Constellation was beautiful. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, if it was between the Super Constellation and the Aviation Alice, let's just say I would want to fly Constellation.
Have you seen John Jester's comment there?
14K or 14K in batteries.
Is that the weight or?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Which is why Neil Landwarn is so right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But anyway.
Yeah.
Go back to our 400th episode and watch his speech on hybrid propulsion.
Very much. What's that? Somebody explain so Neil Landorn has said very much like is it Piago?
A Piaggio.
Piaggio. Oh, that's not bad for me. Play nice.
Beautiful airplane, terrible flyer.
Okay, right. Fair enough.
A bit like their mopeds, Matt.
Oh, I was rather partial to a moped. I had a moped. I love mine.
The Piaggio.
Whee!
So the next story is coming to us from Av Herald, simpleflying.com, and there's been a lot of incidents involving aircraft this week. What with Swift, EasyJet, and Korean Air and Iceland Air as well. So the first one is a Swift Air Boeing 737-400 freighter working on behalf of West Atlantic, Sweden, registration Echo Charlie November Lima Sierra, performing flight SWN 5745 from Paris Charles de Gaulle to Montpellier, France, with 3 crew, landed on Montpellier's runway, 12 left in heavy rain at 2:36 in the morning. 36 minutes past midnight Zulu time, but overran the end of the runway, came to a stop with the nose gear in the water around 200 meters or 650 feet past the end of the runway. Now, there were no injuries on the aircraft, sustained substantial damage. The aircraft reported the aircraft's front nose partly submerged in the Letang de Margio. That must be a river, I suppose. The aircraft, which has this week been moved with heavy cranes and lifts, saw some good pictures of that on social media, actually. Both engines had impacts with the ground. One of them ingested brackish water. The avionics compartment and parts of the cockpit were also flooded with water, and the nose landing gear and the forward lower skin were also damaged on the aircraft. The BEA reported the occurrence was rated as an accident and is being investigated by the BEA. Now, it's safe to say it did have a bit of an issue there. I'd be surprised if this one goes back in the air, considering the damage and also how old the aircraft is. I did check this one when this happened, the day this happened, because I was actually with Stuart O'Neill when this news broke.
Oh, okay.
And it's funnily enough, it was 29 years old.
Wow, okay. Neil Lamb says you can't park there.
That is very
probably true. Richard Adams thought it was an Atlantic salmon. I think that's also fair. It's
just stick it. Mash is saying stick it in a bowl of rice. It'll be as good as
all it wanted was a sip of water, and then, as you say, Mash's comment as well. Yeah, rice fixes everything when the electronics get wet. Absolutely.
I'm going to congratulate the BEA on rating it as an accident. I thought it was some sort of drinking event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done, then.
Runway condition, dry, wet. Yes.
Hey, Nev. He obviously wasn't as good a pilot as what we had landing in Jersey.
No, at least we didn't go off the end, although I thought it was going to be a bit close at one point. But,
now, forgive my sort of naivety here, but I do feel like we're having a bit of a run of these at the moment, isn't there? Because last week there was one that overshot the runway and nearly ended up on a busy road. the Vulcan, yeah. That was a bit tense.
We've got another one on the list. We've got a few more, actually. This one is a minor collision that occurred on the ground at London Heathrow Airport this week. Now, I know Nev found this story exciting. It was a Korean Air aircraft and an Iceland Air aircraft. The emergency services responded to the incident. There were no injuries reported. The Iceland Air aircraft involved in the incident was a 22-year-old Boeing 757-200 registered Tango Foxtrot Indigo Kilo. It had just flown from Reykjavik to London Heathrow, and the aircraft that struck the Iceland Air 757 was a 13-year-old Korean Air Boeing 777-300ER with a tail number Hotel Lima 7782, operating as flight Kilo Echo 908. The 777 had pushed back from the gate and was making its way to the runway to return to Seoul when the incident occurred. Nev, you found this rather exciting, didn't you, when this news broke on social media?
Yeah, more rubbish on mainstream media as well as social media, but mostly the mainstream media. Major accident at London Heathrow Airport was what I was hearing.
Did you say major, Nev?
So yes, and all I was concerned about was as long as my flight from Stockholm coming back wasn't delayed.
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't really
quite.
care
Yeah.
particularly. But and then when the major accident in inverted commas turned out to be a minor ding, although obviously it's a bit expensive and there's going to be lots of paperwork and questions asked. It's hardly what they were talking about. Is
Also, one of the things that I noticed, obviously, a friend of the show, I noticed had been tweeting about it because one of the I'm not quite sure how to describe them, but they're a sort of a company that, but they're a bit like, I suppose, like us in some respects, where they're sort of reporting on incidents that have occurred and all that kind of thing. And this particular outlet, which I won't name, decided that they were going to release the ATC on it, which I thought was highly questionable. As I say, it's I just. In fact, we had a discussion in our little chat group because I'm the first to admit that I'm a bit naive when it comes to sort of the rules and regulations on that. But as I say, my understanding was that obviously that was highly illegal in the UK.
Yeah, it's not something that's broadcast on liveatc.net, unfortunately. No. Which is a bit of a shame.
No, I get that, but the rules are the rules at the end of the day.
The rules are the rules,
it was just somebody had taken it upon themselves to publish it. And
I'll tell you what, Nev, I was shocked that they didn't go and put a picture of a BAC 111 on the story.
That's true, isn't it? Yes, that's a very good point. And again, I just hope that 757 isn't too seriously damaged and can be repaired, because that's one of my favourite aircraft of all time.
Good, Nev. That's what I like to hear.
Obviously, not Matt's, but certainly
no.
I'm
sorry.
So this last one we've got on this story, I actually had a chat with a very good friend of ours on on WhatsApp actually about this incident. But this was on Sunday, September the 25th. An EasyJet Airbus A320 abandoned an approach to Naples International Airport in Italy after suffering damage from a lightning strike.
Oh.
Now Matt's got the pictures of this, hopefully, because the pictures are quite interesting. The aircraft, registered Oscar Echo Lima Juliet Alpha, was flying flight number EJU 2889 from Milan's Malpensa Airport when the go-around decision was made and the plane was on final approach for runway 24 at Naples. At approximately 500 feet AGL, above ground level, the pilots began flying the missed approach procedure. Following the rejected landing, the pilots diverted to Bari International Airport, and the flight crew landed the aircraft safely on runway 25. The aircraft touched down 50 minutes after executing the go-around procedure, and no injuries were reported. And the plane remains on the apron at BRI, or Bari International Airport. And the airline has shared the information on social media that we can confirm that flight EJU 2889 from Milan to Naples diverted to Bari following a lightning strike on approach to Naples, purely as a precaution and in line with our procedures. The aircraft are equipped, to withstand lightning at no point were the safety of the passengers or the flight compromised. The aircraft landed routinely and passengers continued their journey to Naples by coach. EasyJet said they'd like to apologise to passengers for any inconvenience caused, and the safety of their passengers and crew are of the airline's highest priority. Now, the picture that Matt put up on the screen there, I had a chat with one of our resident Airbus pilots who flies the A320, and he says that it happens frequently, which we all know. These things happen frequently. But he also said that it does tend to happen quite frequently on the winglets or the sharklets on the aircraft. Seems to be a point where it does, pick
sort
up,
of attract
the lightning strikes. But he was surprised it hadn't delaminated actually the coating on the aircraft.
Mind you, it's pretty dark and blackened in places. I mean, I think it'll peel off if you poked it a bit, it would probably peel off.
What do you think about this? This obviously, Armando, you've been flying for quite some time. Have you ever had a strike of lightning hit your aircraft?
Oh, yeah, twice, both over the Gulf of Mexico. I had one in a C-130 once, one in the Osprey, and those pictures are pretty accurate. That's exactly what it looks like when you get on the ground. Sometimes it takes chunks out. Sometimes it takes a chunk of composite where the lightning went in, and sometimes it takes a chunk of composite or metal when the lightning bursts out the other end where it goes out. Sometimes it fries your avionics. Most of the time, it's a complete non-issue. I was interested in that they initiated a go around and diverted because of this. I would be interested to hear from some of our pilots in the chat room. Would that be? I don't know that would be my first reaction to go around after a lightning strike. I guess I could see where they wanted to evaluate if there was any damage, but for me, kind of knowing what it was, I would just try to get it on the ground if there was any damage. If you're already on the final approach, just get it on the ground. But that would be me. I don't know if they're...
As somebody who doesn't really know or understand this very much, is it perhaps it was a knee-jerk reaction to climb and go for a go-around? I mean, if you were literally in the process of coming down onto the ground, is that? Or, I mean, where did the actual lightning strike hit? That presumably on approach.
Yeah, it seemed like they were on approach into Milan, and I guess you could be a natural reaction. You hear a bang, you see a flash to get away from the ground. But if you're already on final approach, I just think my personal reaction would be to get on the ground. Looks like John Jester says the same. He would want to get on the ground, not repeat getting struck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, lightning, you know when it's lightning.
Right.
It's not, it's not a compressor stall. That's a big bang. Then that's pretty, unless you've never experienced any of it before, which is possible. But I just don't know that my first reaction would be to initiate a go around and then divert. I would just want to get the airplane on the ground.
It does say, though, although this is from an EasyJet press release, that it's in line with their procedure. So perhaps a lightning strike at that point is a mandatory go-around.
Mm.
Oh, I feel like we may know somebody at EasyJet that could shed some lightning into the situation.
See what you did there.
We're sure it's not a laser point then? Is that?
I think yes. I think that has been ruled out.
Damn good laser pointer.
Yeah, I think that has definitely been ruled out.
And in our first military story, the Air Force develops a laser weapon.
Yes, quite. See what you did there.
As long as there's no sharks with laser beams on their heads, that'd be fine.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? Is that Austin Powers? I think.
Yes,
very good.
So, Matt, you've got the next story, and it's kind of an update, really, on a sad story that we covered a few weeks ago.
Indeed, and I thought this was going to go away, to be honest with you, because there was lots of sort of government support for this, but. This is coming from lots of BBC sources, basically, this one, and the headline is Doncaster Sheffield Airport to close despite financial lifeline offer. So Doncaster Sheffield Airport, DSA, is to close after its owner said no tangible proposals had been received regarding its future ownership. Peel Group said that the closure was due to a fundamental lack of financial viability. On Friday, South Yorkshire's political leaders offered public money to keep DSA operating into 2023, but Peel Group said that services at the airport, which employs 800 workers, would wind down from the 31st of October. South Yorkshire's Mayor Oliver Coppard said that he was devastated by today's announcement and angry about the impact the closure would have on local communities. Peel Airport's chairman, Mr. Howe, said that he was grateful to the airport staff, who he said had always been DSA's greatest asset. He said the immediate priority would be to continue engaging closely with them over the next few weeks. Meanwhile, all affected staff at DSA have been offered job interviews by Manchester Airports Group, MAG, Manchester, East Midlands and Stansted. Speaking to BBC Look North, Prime Minister Liz Truss said that I want to make sure that the airport survives. I will do what I can, and I will talk to the relevant people. Wizz Air said that all its routes would fly from Leeds Bradford Airport following the announcement that the South Yorkshire Airport would close. Flights to Gdansk, Katowice, Krakow, Warsaw, Wrocław, Bucharest and Ternopil is that Tunapaka? So apologies if that one's not right. Will switch from the 31st of October. Passengers who have already booked would be automatically transferred to flights from Leeds Bradford Airport, the airline said. Customers will also be given the option to change their booking to an alternative flight free of charge, or cancel their flight and receive a full refund. I mean, this is definitely a big shame, isn't it? Especially given that promises were made that this was essentially not going to happen.
Well, also, I mean, we're short of runway capacity as it is in the UK, and this runway is just under 9,500 feet long, and that's because it used to be a former long-range nuclear bombing base called RAF Finningley. And that's only a little bit shorter than London Gatwick Airport. So I don't know what they're playing at. I really don't. I mean, obviously it's all about money, clearly, but we just don't have enough runway capacity generally in this country, and I think this is just another nail in the coffin, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like a really nice airport. I'm surprised at this. I mean, it's not just the 8 hard stands in the terminal with the 3 gates, but there's also some really nice big hangars, Nev, like you're saying, that probably house some large aircraft. What happens? What happens over there with these kinds of airports when they shut down?
Housing estates, usually.
Yeah.
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 That is a shame.
Only opened in 2005, the airport. Just looking on here. 2005, the airport.
Yeah, Richard Adams is saying there used to be some impounded aircraft at Sheffield there for several years. Can't remember the types, not sure if they're still there. I think they got stuck there last time it changed hands. Oh, I see.
It's a real shame that we have to lose the airport, and also it's a real shame because of all those people who are going to potentially lose their jobs.
Yeah, 800 staff is not to be sneezed at, is it?
It's just not very nice at all.
It's a big employer for the area, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Nev, you have got the next story, and it's all a bit musical with you.
Well, it is, isn't it? And this is on onemileatatime.com. And in fact, there's a fella called, the founder of OMAT, a chap called Ben Schlappig, and he says, as an aviation geek, I don't just think about my favourite airlines whilst flying, but I also, when I'm at home, one of the most consistent ways that I integrate my favourite airlines into my daily life is by listening to airline boarding music.
Oh, dear.
Yes, the concept of listening to airline boarding music whilst at home may sound a bit wild to some, but when you hear some of these tracks, maybe you'll understand why.
I'm not sure about that.
I'd never even thought about it.
No, okay.
Well, I don't think they didn't have boarding music, Nev. When we
well, British Airways used to have it, and there was some the other day. I've just realised when I was going to Edinburgh, but. Yeah, so have we got a selection to play?
We have, yes. We have the top 9 if you wish to sort of work out.
The top 9.
Number 1 or number 9?
Oh, I don't know. What should we do? What do you want to do?
Let's start with number 1 because
let's start
easier.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Okay.
The number 1 is Qatar Airways.
Silence is Gold. It's good shit. It's a good tune.
I mean, it's all a bit elevatory, isn't it?
Yes. Well, let's have a listen to number 2 then, which is Etihad.
Yes, indeed. He says, let's press. There we go. Ooh, that's quite funky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a nice stereo
Mark
effect on
King from Level 42.
Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah, no, I don't mind that. It's
Let's try Grant McCarran's airline of choice.
Yes.
Oh, are we? Okay, all right. Yes,
Try Qantas.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Producer John is just saying that he might be flying. Did we? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. Here goes. Yeah, here goes. Okay, this is Qantas. If you could let the listener hear it. Oh, it's got a sort of like a piano-y vibe to it, hasn't it? Quite nice. Do we think?
Well,
Yeah, it's a bit boring. Sorry, Grant.
Shall I skip through it? Will that help? Or
Skip.
yeah.
I feel like that's the same soundtrack I have after 3 whiskeys.
really? Yeah. I mean, there's a nice picture with this one as well. Look, there you go. Look. Woo. Okay. It's quite nice, isn't it? Sort of plinky plonky.
Well, yes.
Plinky.
If it's relaxation you're after, that's the music for you, isn't it? So,
yes, absolutely.
What do we go on to number 4?
Okay, all right. Then Nev is.
What's for, Nev?
Emirates.
Okay, here we go. Then here we go.
I wonder what they're like.
Sounds very similar to the Qantas one. I got to be honest.
Just in a different key, isn't it? Yeah. Obviously, it's due to the cutbacks. Yeah.
Of course, absolutely. Yes, yeah. But apparently I've got to try and skip through it. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Let's go into. I don't know if it'll let me do this. Here we go. I've never tried this. Here we go. Try that. Oh, here we go. Oh, hello.
What's this one?
This is Emirates.
Oh, it's Emirates, is it?
Yeah. Oh, this is all right. I quite like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it still sounds like the theme tune to a TV program.
What, Battlestar Galactica?
Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play your cards right.
Well, quite.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let's try number 5. ANA. Al Nippon Airways.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I think this one's actually got some a video with it, so we can do this.
Neil Lamb once put theme from Air Crash Investigation.
Oh dear. Not in front of the children. Hashtag awkward.
Oh dear.
This is nice. I like this. I do like this.
Isn't this Nintendo Wii, the sports?
I mean, it's a bit sort of like
Menu.
it's a bit like We're on Hold. Do you know what I mean? This is the sort of music you'd play like while you were waiting for the main event. Do you know what I mean? Which I guess we are. This at the end of the day, this is exactly what's happening with these, isn't it? Because these are, before you take off.
Dirk
type
says
thing.
this is nice. Dirk says ANA is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I like.
Right,
this one.
let's go with number 6. Let's go for a bit of Oman Air.
Okay, all right then. Here we go.
Very Casio keyboardy.
Yes, always, there's a theme with all these tunes. The first 8 bars are a bit boring, aren't they? You have to skip forward.
Shall I skip forward? Because
Yeah.
there's like, here we go. Let's go into about here. Here we go.
Sorry, I thought I would share my dogs howling at the music.
That would be good. That'd be good boarding music.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there is a sort of... Carlos is not loving
Now,
it.
I hold a lot of hope for this next one. I'm hoping this next one will be a bit more lively because it's Turkish.
Okay.
Turkish
Right.
Airlines.
Now I'm gonna need some advice from producer John here. I've got 2 here. I've got play the first one. Okay, right. So I've got to play the first one because it is actually the holding music.
So when you're in the Lambourne hold.
Oh right. Here we go. Oh, I say. What do we think? Is this like when you're on hold on the phone lines or something?
Your call is very important to us. Please hold. All our advisors are busy with one call. Please hold.
Hang on. They're singing on this one. Right, so that's the on hold music. So what's the
next one then?
I don't know. So
boarding
music. This is literally the on hold music. This is the boarding music. Here we go. Oh, I say. Oh, bit of guitar this time. Lovely stereo effect on it. Would you hear stereo on the aircraft?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Wouldn't it?
I'm assuming it's a mono PA.
Matt, you've seen the standard of speakers on commercial airlines.
That doesn't matter. They can still have one on the left and one on the right.
They still make their cones for the speakers out of cardboard.
Yeah, possibly.
And someone's always blown the driver, haven't they?
Yeah. One of the pilots has made too much noise at some point, and that's it. Yeah, it's absolutely.
Put some square wave through it, and it sounds diabolical.
I think this, personally for me, this is one of my favourites because I quite like the. It's got almost. Sorry, I know it's Turkish, but it's got almost like a sort of like a Spanish guitar vibe to it. I quite like it.
Now, this next one, being these guys win every blooming award going in the aviation industry, I'm hoping this next one from Singapore Airlines will be the best.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, here we go. Let's get. Oh, right, okay.
Singapore Airlines.
Yeah, producer John is terrifying me at the moment, but let's give it a go. Oh, it's not so bad.
Oh, we're going with the old.
Oh. John Jester is saying that number one should be the Air Cavalry theme, Ride of the Valkyries. Love that. Yeah. No, I'm not feeling that one. Shall I skip in, see what we've got later in?
God, it's a bit boring, isn't it?
No, it's still boring.
No, that's boring. Honestly, Singapore Airlines, you might win all the awards.
Yeah.
But your boarding music is Charlie Romeo Alpha Papa.
Tony says Matt's going to have some serious copyright violations this week. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to keep me I'm away on holiday for the next 2 weeks. That'll keep me very amused. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's great music. We need to say something other than it's boring, by the way, Carlos, so we can get it cleared. And yeah. Comment on the actual music. What is it?
It's lovely harpist music.
Very good.
From Singapore Airlines there.
Yeah.
It's a piano.
No. I love it. Number 7 had slight hints of chocolate and oak. I really loved it. It was good.
The trumpets were playing very loudly on that particular track.
Okay,
right,
good.
And
is that going to be enough, John, or are we still in trouble?
Number 9.
L'essence de lavender on number 9, Japan Airlines was great.
Thank you.
Right.
Here we go.
This is it. Oh, it's quite funky. Oh, we've got pictures of gates and all sorts.
I think this guy's finger got stuck in the same key.
It's reminding me of the Chariots of Fire and the what is it? The Rowan Atkinson sketch in the 2012 Olympics, isn't it? Where he's sort of sitting there pressing the key for I don't know how long. Shall we spin through, see if it's a little bit livelier later on? Apparently there used to be words to this, John is saying. I mean, it's all very lovely, isn't it? I suppose. And realistically, now, come on, you guys have all been doing this. How long are these usually playing for?
Just it depends on the boarding time.
Well, yes, quite.
Mike has commented in the chat room.
Oh, right. Okay, 40 to 50 minutes, John is saying. Yeah. Oh, it's nice. I mean, I wouldn't buy it. So it's again, this one's sort of like a strings and a piano-y sort of thing, isn't it? Is Micah is saying, yeah, okay, yeah, I've been told we're covered. Actually, the most you could say about any of them is that they are annoying in their attempt to be non-annoying. Yeah.
It's almost like
Thank you,
it's almost like the theme tune to an American 1980s sitcom.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
I know someone that played in the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra. I'm sure they could have given them a call and they could have, knocked something up.
This is completely unrelated, but I think Micah, I think I wrote that on somebody's annual performance appraisal one time. It's annoying how they're trying to not be annoying.
Right. Yeah. I see.
Shows great potential for next year.
Okay, so that's our 9. That's our 9. Now, do we? I've got 2 more here. I've got BA and Ryanair. Shall we?
Oh, isn't BA that?
Well, obviously, we'll have to play the BA one.
Of course, those are the rules. Shall I put the logo up as well, or just Okay, here we go. Let's have a look, shall we? Here we go. Let's give it a listen. Nothing. Good. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
it's like... Oh, it is that. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
This is more like it.
Oh, this is lovely.
Yeah, Nev's feeling at home now, isn't he? Yeah.
I feel as though I'm sitting in 1A at the moment, saying, would you like a glass of champagne with your caviar as a starter?
Absolutely.
Oh, Mr. Barnes, would you like the wine menu?
you like to help us out with an unruly passenger in 16A?
16A, Nev, you don't go up that high, goodness.
That's the APU as far as I'm concerned.
Main man Micah is saying, I think I would choose John Phillips Scouts and Marches. They may have good cadence and would.
Oh God! Don't read Hobby Times comment in the chat room.
Okay.
Blimey!
All right, okay. Would hopefully keep people
read it.
moving at a reasonable tempo for faster boarding. There is that. Yes, that is very true.
Would you like to read Hobby Times comment? In the chat room?
We should just mention obviously what this is. So we've got a nice operatic piece to it. It's got it's a proper piece of music, isn't it? That's the difference we've got here. As the other ones do feel like they were done on a Casio keyboard, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not been done on a Yamaha DX7 or something.
Quite. Okay. Yeah, indeed.
Richard Adams has said in the chat room, Nev, he bets you have this piped into your bathroom at home.
That's perfect.
How would Mrs. Nev feel about that, just out of interest?
Quite cross.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely subpar. Okay, so we've got two little things. We've got the boarding music. We've got the boarding music here for Ryanair.
Word.
Shall we just indulge ourselves for a moment? Here we go.
Scratch cards. Scratch cards.
I don't think they do that in the boarding music. They might do. I don't know.
Ryanair. Low fares, made simple.
Oh, they do a little announcement on the beginning on it. Oh, we have, haven't we? Yes, we have actually. Yeah, this one's on POM 5. We do have a license for that. So, well, so 9.5 minutes we can play without any issue now. How are we feeling about it? Come on, somebody comment.
I think this is more of a young, vibrant kind of tune.
O'Leary would be
You
delighted.
need something to warm you up after you've been having to queue outside and going up the aircraft stairs, rather than going through the proper, way of boarding an aircraft.
Right. Okay. What's the proper way of boarding an aircraft, Nev? Because I've only ever done it that way.
Oh, the pier, that you actually walk down and you just arrive in the aircraft.
This music is to cheer you up after you've had to hand over your hand luggage case for them to go and throw in the hold because they can't fit it in the overhead bins.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Just to
That's
keep
what
you
this
cheering.
is. Just to keep you cheering.
Indeed.
So, to finish off this story, can you play us, Matt, that the well-known, the world-famous Ryanair on-time arrival music?
Are we going to play it in full? Are we?
Oh,
I don't know. Oh, there is an image. I wasn't sure there was an image with it, but there is. It's all right. Okay, here we go then. Are we all ready? And it's like, and finally. Oh, all right. Apparently, I don't need to play the image. Okay, we'll just do it this way then. Here we go.
Thank you for flying Ryanair. Last year, over 90% of our flights arrived on time. We hope you enjoyed yours, and we look forward to welcoming you on board again soon. Ryanair. Low fares, made simple.
Right then, Ed.
It sounds like the go-around music to me.
There is
Ryanair.
that. Yes.
60% of the time we get you there all the time.
Right. Oh, that's a bit unfair.
But I just say, this is the most amusing segment we've had on the show for some weeks.
Absolutely.
It's really tickled me.
Yeah. It's actually quite a nice video with it. Let's have it again, shall we? Look, here we go. I've never heard it in stereo before. It's quite beautiful.
Thank you for flying Ryanair. Last year, over 90%
there we go. Anyway,
of our
yeah,
flights
there we go.
arrived.
Enough now. There we go. That's there we go. So that concludes our musical arrangement game. Sorry. There you go.
Anyway.
So out of all of those, genuinely, I know what Nev's favourite is, but if everybody else could be a little bit more objective.
Do you know?
I'm going to go with United's Rhapsody in Blue.
Oh.
Still hanging in there for 25 years.
Fair enough. Yeah. Micah was saying it's a pretty bad version as well, apparently.
I quite liked the Singapore Airlines one after the first 16 bars, once it got going.
Once it got going, yeah, absolutely. There we go. Well, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Believe it or not, we still have some more commercial news to do.
We do. We have a couple more stories left. Anyway, Armando, you have got this next one, and it's all about Airbus and Boeing.
I don't know how to follow that segment up. So let's talk about Russia. Thanks, John. Thanks, John.
Okay, right.
I feel like this is just a bad joke by our producer.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if there's background music for this story or not, but
I'll pick one of the other ones. Hang on.
State-owned industrial holding Rostec believes that Airbus and Boeing aircraft, quote, will never again be delivered to Russia, and that the country will now rely entirely on locally built aircraft, according to Reuters. Matt, do you have that background music yet?
Yes, of course. Yes. Sorry. You'll pick one. Which one would you like? ANA, Emirates.
Let's do ANA. Sounds good.
ANA. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
So, according to Rostec, foreign aircraft will drop out of the fleet of Russian airlines. We believe that this process is irreversible and that Boeing and Airbus planes will never again be delivered to Russia. Rostec is the parent of UAC, United Aircraft Corporation, the Russian holding that oversees all aircraft manufacturers, including Irkut, Tupolev, Ilyushin, and pretty much everything else in Russia. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February of this year, EU and US sanctions banned the delivery of Western aircraft spare parts or any other services to the Russian aviation industry. Oh my goodness. Should we just abandon this story right now? Basically, yep, they're going to have to rely entirely on internally produced aircraft because Airbus and Boeing aircraft will never again be delivered. Plus, I did see an article somewhere about a daring rescue. What is it? It was a European airline, right? That went in and got their Airbus out of there.
Oh, wow.
You guys remember that?
No?
Yeah. Yeah, like middle of the night, they went in and had a crew fly out of Ukraine.
That was
back
Wizz Air had a A320.
Wizz, that's right. Yep.
Had a couple
Yep.
actually, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, Intrepid Aviators, they're over there at Wizz Air.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gosh. I mean, well done for getting their flight black, obviously, but wow, that's unexpected, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't. Okay, well, we've got this for the last bit of this story. We've got a special soundtrack.
Oh,
is it coming?
I don't know.
Okay, so
what's
earlier,
happening?
Yeah.
What's going on?
While we're waiting.
Right. Okay. Have I missed something in the notes here? What's going on?
No. Producer John has the Aeroflot boarding music.
Oh, right. Oh,
I dread to think what that sounds like.
Right. Okay.
In a stroke of irony and genius at the same time, I'll just finish the story by saying currently Aeroflot only has 306 aircraft compared to an order of 339 Russian-built aircraft that they ordered. It's only Russian-built airliners are 76 SSJ-100s. The other 230 of their aircraft over at Aeroflot is a mix of Boeing and Airbus. So there you go.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I say let's just abandon the story. Going on to the next one, Carlos.
Yes. Thank you, Armando. This next one comes to us with some very glorious coloured pictures. This is China Airlines unveiling the new A321neo of their Pikachu jet. This has come to us from breakingtravelnews.com. China Airlines formally unveiled this week their Pikachu jet. Yes, I said Pikachu, the first Pokemon liveried aircraft in Taiwan. This was the most colourful livery in the history of China Airlines, taking 21 days to apply. One-day charity micro trip was organised on September the 30th by China Airlines for the Taiwan-Taipei-Shenzhen route. The aircraft will then make its first flight on the Taipei-Shenzhen-Tokyo-Haneda route, carrying with it its Pokemon fans, young and old. Exclusive Pokemon-themed supplies were also featured aboard the aircraft, and the China Airlines Pikachu CI painting processes and utilizes 36 different types of paint The fuselage is painted with progressive hues of pastel orange, pink, and violet, and these will complement both the China Airlines corporate colours and the plum blossom logo on the tail fin, giving the impression of a starry night sky with dawn approaching. 11 Pokemon characters will be featured, including Pikachu, flying through the sky, Shayim, Swablu, Togekiss, blimey, you can tell I watch Pikachu a lot, Munna, Jigglypuff. You've got to have Jigglypuff. You can't have a Pokemon without having Jigglypuff. Snorlax, Slowpoke. You can't have Pokemon without a Slowpoke. And Teddiezura. God, John, what have you done? A hidden egg with Pikachu and Shymin appears above the cockpit window, greeting the world as if they were pilots. Travelers flying aboard the Pikachu jet will be joined by Pokemons upon check-in through the exclusive board passes and name tags. Passenger cabins and meals will feature Pikachu jet-themed pillows, tray mats, paper cups, and mixed snacks. Flight attendants will also wear aprons featuring Pikachus, and the entertainment system will include 10 hand-picked Pokemon animations so that travelers can immerse themselves in Pokemon fun at all times. In addition to the aircraft amenities, that word always does me. Merchandise is being jointly developed by China Airlines and Pokemon Company. 4 items include China Airlines Pikachu jet model aircraft, a mixed snack box, blimey, I need another beer, tote bag, flight attendant aprons will be progressively released before the next quarter of the year. Travellers on Asia, Palau and Guam flights will be able to order Pokemon merchandise exclusive to China Airlines online before departure.
Can I just say for the record, I don't know what alternate universe I'm in right now, that I'm drinking scotch out of a PTUK mug while listening to a China Airlines story with Pikachu characters while the Aeroflot boarding music plays in the background and there's a hurricane outside my window.
There's not a lot of kite flying going on outside there, Armando.
What episode is this? 427.
Yes.
This one's gonna go down in history.
There you go.
I tell you what, Nev. All jokes aside, I think BA should bring back those kind of retro paint jobs they used to have on the tails many years ago.
Yes, that wasn't very popular with a previous prime minister of ours, was it? Do you remember Margaret Thatcher put her handkerchief over the rudder and tail trim?
Oh,
a 747 model that was at an exhibition once. I wasn't a huge fan of those. I'm more of a Landor fella.
Yes,
yeah.
Landor is nice.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
So that brings to a close our commercial airline stories this week. It's safe to say it's been a interesting delve into the commercial aviation media for this week. You'll all agree. So
an unusual take, yes.
I know. Just wait till the next time we get all together. I don't know. Nev, we're going to hand things over to you to introduce the next part of the show.
Well, as you know, we are featuring a series of interviews with Chris Burwell, who's the author of 9 Lives, a fascinating tale about Chris's life in the RAF. And, of course, we subcontracted our good friend Nick Anderson to do the interviews. And this is part 2, which talks about Chris's time at RAF Wittering.
Now, crossing the Atlantic, we've just mentioned it, with 4 engines seems fair enough, but I'm guessing doing it on only 1 engine tends to concentrate the mind a little.
It does a little bit, yes. Yeah, it was a memorable experience, I'd say. As I mentioned in my book, it was a very memorable trip. Not least the fact that after an hour's flying, after having quite a lot of faffing around trying to find out which tanker we were supposed to be crossing the Atlantic with, because East Anglia was just covered in tankers at the time. We took off from Wittering on the easterly runway, and there were just Victor tankers everywhere. And I was number 2 to a guy called Chris Bain, a very experienced guy, and we eventually got sorted out with the right tanker. And then we sort of set off across, turned west, heading towards Goose Bay. And I thought, oh, right, now we can relax. And I looked down the side of the cockpit, and we were just coasting in on the east coast of Scotland at that point. And I thought, we've had an hour and we've got nowhere, you know. But even so, it only took us about 5.5 hours to get to Goose Bay from takeoff at Wittering.
The Guatemalan Air Force aircraft you might have faced in Belize was the Cessna A37 Dragonfly.
Yeah.
How do you reckon you'd have fared against it?
I think it would have been very interesting, actually, because it's not the fastest of aircraft. And, you know, we could operate down to their speed range if we needed to close in for a guns kill. The problem is that we didn't know where the bullets were going. And though we had a gun sight, of course, in the aircraft, it had never been calibrated. And though quite a lot of work was done before we reinforced Belize, we still hadn't really got an aiming solution. So I think that would have been quite interesting. I think, in all honesty, our presence was the thing that counted, because once the Harriers arrived, the Guatemalans backed off completely. And it wasn't just the Harriers, of course, it was also the British Army reinforced as well. So there was a lot of reinforcement going in there. But suddenly, of course, nothing happened.
After your shortened tour with one squadron, you were sent back to instructional duties, albeit on the Harrier ACU. You mentioned a few hundred yards up the road.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed to leave the front line?
I was very frustrated, yes. Yeah. I mean, you ask about going to be an instructor on your first tour. I could live with that, that was fine. But I really didn't want to get back into instructional duties after only 2 years on the front line. So that, yes, it was frustrating. There was compensation. It was an interesting job. There is no doubt that teaching people to fly the Harrier is a demanding job. Everything can go wrong very, very quickly in a Harrier, as people will probably appreciate, with the nozzle lever and the throttle next to each other. If you get them confused, as people may well do when they're very early on the aircraft, everything can go wrong very quickly. So it was a demanding job. I have to admit, during that tour, I did sort of flirt with the idea of leaving the Air Force at that time. And in fact, a lot of the instructors on the OCU at the time were doing just that. They'd done their time and they thought, right, it's time to go and earn some money and join the airlines. So I was surrounded by people who were following that course. I certainly thought about it. I didn't get very far, apart from getting the notes to study with. I didn't get very far into them. And then other things happened, like I was getting married. I was selected to be a display pilot for my last year on the OCU. And then, of course, I found out I was getting promoted. So everything sort of took over. And I just went, do you know what? Operational tour out in Germany, let's go for it. And that's what I did.
In your book, you described what it was like taking off from a semi-prepared dispersal site. Pretty exciting stuff. It always seems to me that a rough field might not have been the best spot, whereas a metalled road, perhaps an autobahn junction, might have served better. Where would you have gone in a real conflict?
On the surface, a road, and all the the war sites had already been surveyed. We had a Harrier Plans office out at RAF Gütersloh, and their responsibility was to make sure that we had sites ready to go to in war, and not just sites but backup sites as well, so if we had to move. Now, I didn't know too much about it. I did go on one site's visit, even though I finished up as Deputy Squadron Commander. The information was kept under close tabs, and very few people knew much about it. I went out on one site's visit with Keith Grumbly, who was running the Harrier Plans office at the time, and we did go out and have a look at one site. And they were basically gave us the ability to operate off a hard surface, you know, a good bit of road with open, clear area. Not that we needed an awful amount, to be honest, but then perhaps a big factory site with parking where you could put your aircraft undercover inside a factory.
Yeah,
like
Amazon warehouse, had they existed.
Absolutely, you can get a few squadrons in one of those, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. You talk of your engine failure and ejection over Germany in a way that takes us all through the drama of the event. Perhaps you could recount a little of that for us. And I'm curious, was the cause ever established?
Right, let's start with the cause. The cause was that a few flying hours previously, the engineers had carried out a repair on the intake of the aircraft, and when they do the repair, they use rivets to put the metal back together again. And when you use a rivet gun, there is a bit of dispensed metal that's fired out from the gun. And that bit of metal is caught in a bag, which is attached to the gun. Now, the right bags had gone in short supply, and the site didn't have the right bag. So what they'd done was they got a plastic bag and they'd taped it up, and they were using that. And overuse, one of the corners of the bag had got frayed, and so the hot rivet mandrel, the bit of the hot rivet that's left, had fallen out into the intake. And then when the aircraft flew next, that hot rivet mandrel had gone through the engine and had impinged on the blades of the engine. Now, it didn't cause the failure straight away, but what it did do was make a nick in one of the turbine blades, so that some flying hours later, I think it was about 5.5 hours flying later, I was the lucky man that happened to be sitting on the aircraft where that blade failed and it just destroyed the turbine. So at that point, the engine was never going to produce any thrust again. So that was the cause of the accident. So it was, interesting enough, like a number of accidents, there was a whole chain of events there, like the right bag wasn't there, they'd made do, they'd used another bag, that had dropped something into the intake, they hadn't picked it up when they'd done the clean-up afterwards, and so ultimately that led to an engine failure and the loss of a Harrier GR3 worth about £7 million in those days. So I was the guy sitting in the aircraft when it happened. As far as I was concerned, it was fairly straightforward for me. I was flying around in northern Germany. Visibility was not very good. I had a number 2 following me. We were just about to do an attack run under forward air control on a simulated target. And I was just turning towards the initial point for the run into the target when there was a couple of fairly loud or well-felt thumps through the airframe, and I thought, that doesn't feel right at all. And you thought, it's not a bird, what could it be? So at that point, something is not right. So I just rolled the wings level, climbed up, and said to my number 2, something wrong, just come and have a look at the airframe, see if you can see any damage or anything. So Les Evans, who was my number 2, came up and joined me. And of course I'm looking in the cockpit, going, there's nothing on the warning panel, the hydraulic system's looking good, the jet pipe temperature's fine, there's absolutely nothing wrong here at all. Les comes up alongside and I see him close aboard on one side, goes underneath, comes up the other side, says, all looks okay to me. At which point the engine just failed, just as he said that. And so I just suddenly felt a complete loss of thrust accompanied by a lot of heavy rumbling. The whole aircraft was rumbling away and absolutely no thrust from the engine. So at that point, of course, because I lost all thrust, Les got spat out in front of me and I never saw him again. He never saw me again either until I was on the ground. So I converted what speed I had up into height. I probably got up to about 2,500 feet maximum, and then got into a glide. Well, the Harrier glide, it's 250 knots. It's got very small wings, and you come down very fast. So as I say in my book, I was looking at a whole load of ground coming up to meet me very quickly. And so I went into the relight drill for the engine, which is the only thing I could do. It's a drill that we practice all the time in the simulator. It's very straightforward. I just went through the drill, relit the engine relit, advanced the throttle, absolutely nothing, just deep rumbling. So I shut it down, tried again, absolutely nothing, and thought, well, I'm out of here. So it was a case of, right, quick call on the radio, I'm ejecting, pull the handle, and that was it. I'm on my way.
And we've got your tie and Caterpillar badge in front of us to mark the event, and thank the Lord for Martin Baker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great company.
Absolutely, great company.
Brilliant. Follow-up question to that, if I may. Like the Harrier, the F-35 Lightning is also a single-engined aircraft. In view of your experience, do you think that was a particularly good choice?
It's technology, isn't it? It's what you need to carry out the job. And I mean, F-35's been in service for a few years now, and they actually have a pretty good record. They lost one off the front of the carrier. I'm still not sure what happened there. Perhaps you know.
I believe they left an intake blank in which got absorbed. And
that's what I heard, but I don't know whether that's been officially released.
I haven't seen an official accident report.
It's a difficult one, that, isn't it? Because, the more you put engines into an aircraft, the more weight you're carrying around for a start, and the greater complexity as well, and the more risk for anything to go wrong. I mean, we can say, yes, the Harrier had a number of engine failures, but actually that engine kept going in the most dire circumstances at times as well. There's some very good recorded cases of the Harrier, the Pegasus engine, coming back with a lot of damage where it just kept going. So these things are always a trade-off, aren't they?
Discover the pioneers of speed and adventure at one of the UK's most iconic museums. Whether it's a tour of the legendary Concorde, a walk around the Brooklands aircraft factory, or maybe a behind-the-scenes look at the McLaren automotive cars, the Brooklands Museum has it all. Based at Weybridge in Surrey, it's the perfect day out for all the family. We can also host your private function or meeting in one of our amazing event suites. With so much to see and do, come and take a look at Great Britain's history of speed and flight. Find out more by going to www.brooklandsmuseum.com or give us a call on 01932 857 381. That's 01932 857 381.
Great work again, Nev.
Well, I merely point the camera and stick a couple of microphones on the fellas, but what impresses me is actually speaking to someone that's ejected from an aircraft. Their story, and it's a bit of a hard way to get a Martin Baker tie, but if that's what it takes,
absolutely.
But extraordinary stuff there from Chris, and of course that's just part 2. We've got another 4 parts to go, I'm pleased to say. And as I mentioned last week, Chris has very kindly signed his book for us. So when the series is finished, we'll be doing a quiz, and you can win Chris's book as well.
Yeah,
9
absolutely.
It's
some great comments in the chat room, by the way, Nev. I don't know if you've seen them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, big. I know. Captain Nick's in the chat room. Thanks again to Nick for all his hard work as well, putting that together with you, Nev. Excellent work. Excellent work, Nick.
Yeah, and don't forget, as I think Nev mentioned, it's going to be released as a separate YouTube series, so you can watch it in full, start to finish, once it's over. Lots of lovely comments in there from main man Micah and Neil Lamworn and Dirk S and all sorts. So yeah, really good, really good.
So we're going to hand things over for the next part of the show to our resident military expert aficionado. It is, of course, Armando.
Let's do this. Matt, if you're ready, hit the button.
Blast up bogeys 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 108 bogey.
Of course, that video of the Osprey there couldn't be more poignant, really, with the first story, could it?
Yeah, lots of whirlybirds here on the show, right there between the animation and Jonathan Warner's videos. But you've got another video, Matt, that you're going to play out here. Yeah. So if you haven't listened to the last 3 shows, we've been talking about this U.S. Air Force Special Operations CV-22 Osprey that was stuck on the nature preserve in Norway. So that has been salvaged. The operation kind of commenced on the 27th of September. The aircraft did belong to the 7th Special Operations Squadron there at RAF Mildenhall. Now, this video that you're watching actually came from via Jonathan Warner from a Helicopter Norway enthusiast website. That aircraft obviously made an emergency landing at that nature preserve, and they decided to come up with this ingenious plan to get it out. The provisionary path of wooden planking was laid out from its landing place to the coast, which was only about 200 feet. Because of the shallow water, there was a boat with a crane that lifted it out, and they took it on a barge to the town of Cereza. There, it was hoisted ashore and put onto this truck, which you're watching right now. That truck is transporting the machine to the military airfield in Bardufos, which I've actually been to. We did an exercise up there, flying in Evanes and Bardufos. All the necessary equipment. It'll be much easier to repair the aircraft there at that airbase. But you can see from this video, it's actually Norwegian forces and a Norwegian cargo company that is handling the transport of the Osprey to that military airbase. And I actually joined this group on Facebook, commented and said, I think we owe you a beer, Norway. I think we owe all of Norway a beer. But you can see they're treating this aircraft with the utmost care and navigating some of these streets going down.
It's quite the challenge getting it out of where it ended up, isn't it? I mean, the roads are not suitable for a vehicle of that size, are they?
I think like the whole operation is pretty impressive. From building the planks to hoisting it on the barge to taking it to the port to hoisting it onto the truck here, the trailer, lorry, whatever you want to call it. It's I would love to be on the side watching this thing. Yeah, and you did show that picture of the barge hoisting up the aircraft onto that's from the shore onto the barge.
Onto the barge, yeah. Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well done to everybody. Well done to the Norwegian Armed Forces. They're really killing it up there. It's awesome.
Wow. That does look pretty awesome.
Yeah. Carlos, you've got the next story. We alluded to this last week, but it's about the new stealth bomber.
Yeah, this comes to us from the aviationist.com. The new B-21 Raider stealth bomber is to be unveiled in the first week of December. I can almost see Jonathan Warner putting this in his diary. Northrop Grumman Corporation, in partnership with the US Air Force, will unveil the B-21 Raider during the first week of December at the company's Palmdale, California facility. This is the first sentence of the press release that the company had sent out on September the 20th this year, announcing the rollout of the most anticipated rollouts of the decade, the one of the US Air Force's next stealth bomber, built by Northrop Grumman and destined to replace the B-1 and B-2 fleets. Since contract awarded in 2015, Northrop Grumman has assembled a nationwide team to design, test and build the world's most advanced strike aircraft. The B-21 is a product of Northrop Grumman's pioneering digital engineering practices and advanced manufacturing techniques, together with a breakthrough stealth technology, says the release, that calls the new bomber a sixth generation optimized for operations in highly congested or contested environments, using the words of Tom Jones, Corporate Vice President and President Northrop Grumman's Aeronautics Systems. The unveiling will take place at Northrop Grumman's Palmdale site, where the bombers are being built. The new bomber that the US Air Force plans to procure in 100 examples has a lot of things in common with the B-2. The main differences are the W-shaped trailing edge of the Raider, that is an evolution from the Spirit sawtooth trailing edge, and the overall size and weight of the B-2's wingspan is 172 feet, while the B-21 has a payload requirement said to be between 2/3 and half of the B-2. That's why the Raider will probably be lighter, featuring a wingspan smaller than that of the Spirit. This is probably the most interesting thing that we are going to access at the public unveiling, the size comparison between that and the B-2. 6 B-21 test aircraft are in various stages of final assembly in Palmdale, California, according to Northrop Grumman. The first flight is projected for 2023. The actual timing of the first flight will be based on ground test outcomes. The new bomber is expected to be ready for service in around 2026-27, with Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota being the preferred location for the first B-21 main operating base, and Dyess Air Force Base, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas, being an alternative. Now, I can almost sense Jonathan Warner pre-booking his flights to go over to the US to see this aircraft being brought out, or I can almost sense him wishing it's based over here RAF.
Well, he did say in the chat room that he's ready for them to deploy out to Fairford in about 1 million years from now.
Right.
Yeah.
Neil Landwarn in the comments says, "Hey, did you see the new stealth bomber? No? Excellent."
Yes. My work here is done. Yes.
Don't panic, Jonathan Warner. By the time that they've got this B-21 here in the UK, there'll be one at Duxford in the hangar on show anyway.
Nev, have you pretty much booked all of December to be just in Palmdale, California, waiting for this new stealth bomber to be unveiled?
Oh, no.
No. Funnily enough.
Oh, I thought I saw that in your calendar, but maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah, I think yeah.
I think you look at somebody else's calendar.
Yeah.
Rather than mine.
But Nev, they're giving away 100 cases of Pinot Grigio.
Oh, well, in that case, then I might just see what I can do.
Yeah. Arnie Carlson is saying, I remember the first time I did not see the stealth bomber at an air show at CAFB. It was a landing gear inside a roped area with 3 armed guards. Ooh.
Yeah, I actually remember seeing my first stealth fighter at an air show. I think it was 1994, 95 in at Andrews Air Force Base. And it was same. It was had a rope. With some guards.
What's the one on the right-hand side as you go into the American hangar? If you've got the runway behind you at Duxford.
Oh, the Blackbird.
Is it the Blackbird?
Yeah, it's an SR-71.
Yeah, the SR-71,
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's a very cool thing.
It is mega.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Nev, unfortunately, you have got the next story.
It's okay, because it's procurement going on, and I'm keen on that.
We're good with numbers. Yeah, absolutely.
It's on the chamberbusinessnews.com. It says that aerospace and defence giant Boeing secured a contract to produce 96 Apache helicopters for the Polish armed forces as the company scales up its manufacturing capabilities in Mesa, Arizona. Poland's Minister of Defence announced on September the 8th that the Central European nation had selected Boeing Defence, Space and Security to be its partner for its attack helicopter program. An initiative started to replace the currently outdated Soviet-designed Mi-24 fleet. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Poland has heavily invested in modernising its military. During their International Defence Industry Exhibition, the Apache helicopters took the spotlight and were introduced by Adam Hodges, the team lead for vertical international sales at Boeing. The Apaches for Poland are all expected to be newly manufactured, as Hodges explained to reporters before the announcement. There is no Apache in the boneyard, and in Mesa we produce 80 to 100 aircraft per year. No price tag has yet been released, but a recent deal between Boeing and the Australian government for 29 AH-64E Apache helicopters came in at $3.83 billion. Meanwhile, Boeing's operations in Mesa have only been expanding. On September the 15th, Boeing opened the 155,000 square foot Advanced Composition Fabrication Center, which is a $150 million facility which will produce advanced composite components for future combat aircraft programs. While Boeing said they could not disclose which programs will be manufactured in Mesa, they said that the newest facility will be at the front end of the next capabilities coming down for our warfighter. This deal comes as the aerospace industry continues to grow in Arizona. Leading companies including Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Raytheon Missile and Defense and Northrop Grumman have expanded operations throughout the state in recent years. In a statement by Boeing, the company said that the Apache deal will strengthen US-Polish military ties by enhancing interoperability and cooperation between Poland, the US Army and NATO nations. Polish officials also applauded the deal for increasing security in the region, noting that such a fundamental benefit is the fact that the Polish army is armed with modern weapons. The immediate advantage is that Poland is safe. So that's quite a big deal, isn't it? It's 96 Apaches. Gosh.
Well, it is, and it's a shot across the bow to Russia that they're replacing their Soviet Mi-24 based fleet with Western Apaches or American Apaches. So, yeah, pretty clear message. This is huge. This is huge for the economy in Arizona too, because Boeing commercial has had its ups and downs, but I think Boeing Defense, other than the KC-46, and even that really didn't affect them too much. But Boeing Defense has generally had a pretty stable, if not upward, trend in profitability and growth. And ordering 96 new helicopters is just another boost to the Eastern European security, especially with the current situation, right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, let's finish out the military segment with a little P3.
Love the P3. One of my faves.
Yeah, we're gonna straddle the fence here again between military and commercial, and it was episodes 268 and 370, I think, or 268 and 270 that we had the Hurricane Hunters on, but 268 and 370. Yep. So this Hurricane Hunter, which you guys have seen on the show already, with Hurricane Ian, they have this new technology. They launched the first Altia 600 drone, and it was the first drone ever to fly into a hurricane from the NOAA WP-3D. I remember the aircraft commanders was Lieutenant Commander Khan. They nicknamed this the Kermit. It was rocked by turbulence so violent after an eye wall penetration that many aboard suffered air sickness. We're going to have a video on this at the end of the story. Now, Matt has a picture that he just showed there. That picture was actually taken at night, and the lightning was so intense and so bright that it made it look like a daytime picture. But according to Joe Cioni, one of the lead meteorologists for NOAA on the airplane, he said a lot of people had barf bags filling up.
Oh, dear.
Barf bags.
There you go. There you go.
Oh.
The flight was apparently so turbulent that NOAA Hurricane Hunter Nick Underwood, who we're going to watch his video in a second, who was one of 18 people aboard the flight, called it one of the roughest of his career so far. Another technician said that they got slammed pretty hard, and he had flown in some 150 eye wall penetrations in about 25 different P3 flights. Two staffers from the Area I, it's a Marietta, Georgia company that makes this drone, said, we're real heroes too, because both of them were sick and not feeling well at all. They still managed to do the job. They were onboard specialists guiding that drone. So their job was to help. So the drone is about 40 inches long, 23 pounds, 100-inch wingspan when it's deployed. They were helping guide it into the eye of Hurricane Ian in order to help fix its center, or the eye, and then gather other data needed to help gauge the intensity and tracking the storm, of course. Now, by all accounts, this was no slam dunk. The eye wall was in the middle of rearranging itself when they flew through it. It wasn't an oval shape instead of a perfectly round, which is a sign that the storm is actually intensifying while they were flying in it. And according to them, it was pretty unnerving conditions. Now, they did say that they managed to launch the drone and babysat it for a few minutes so it could get its bearings. And they did that under, the conditions that were obviously very severe turbulence. And you can see from the video there, that's probably with some GoPro stabilization even, and you can see the wing is rocking there. But apparently the flight was so rough that NOAA waved off any further eye wall penetration attempts while still monitoring the hurricane, collecting operationally valuable data and providing telemetry support for the drone. There you go. So the drone is actually a modified version of an Army drone, an ALE. It did keep flying for 2 hours after being launched, providing data from inside the storm that the airplane could not. And the whole time, the crew inside the P3 was able to maintain communications with the drone using a data link from as far away as about 125 miles. Yeah, you can see there from those videos. It was no joke inside that storm, huh?
I mean, you see they're all wearing seatbelts and stuff. He's holding the camera as best he can. I mean, Oh my goodness me!
Yeah, now this video actually made national news.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because it was so rough. And I remember when I was interviewing these guys, they were talking about how each hurricane has its own personality to it. And, you know, some of the most severe looking ones were actually pretty mild to fly through, and then vice versa. But it seems like this, you know, being a category 4 borderline 5 hurricane with and match the flight conditions in there, as they're getting rocked pretty good in there.
Indeed.
You know, in their P3.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Brave people. I could not be in that aircraft. Not an option. Not an option at all.
There'd definitely be some sick bags flying around there. I think even for a well-seasoned flyer.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I have for the military this week, and I think we've got a good interview coming up next, don't we?
Yeah, Nev, what's going on next?
Well, we're going back to Jersey just to catch up on a few of the things that were going on during the evening before the International Air Display. And of course, these events can't really take place without volunteers. And I bumped into Alex, who's one of the volunteers for the air show. Well, I'm here with Alex, who's one of the volunteers here at the Jersey Air Show. And of course, these events don't happen without volunteers, do they, Alex?
That's right. We've got a lot of international and local people that help out. And it's something that really takes place throughout the whole year. So it's something that Mike's already planning for next year, Mike Higgins, the organiser. And we try and help out where we can with various different roles that go on, from helping marshalling through the safety side, and also helping to get some of the sponsorship that is really necessary to keep an event like this going.
What are some of the challenges that you're facing at the moment?
The challenges are around making sure that the event is properly funded, and we get all the support around making sure that all the charities that this event helps, with regards to the Royal Air Force Association, for example, can continue to raise funds for their purposes as well. But yeah, the challenges are increased fuel costs, obviously, and difficulty in obtaining some of the planes. A lot of the Air Force planes are being used for operational duties, so it's always a challenge to try and get hold of them. But bigger and better next year, we hope.
Yeah, it's a vital part on the island, isn't it? I think the air show, it really is.
It is. It's a very special event in the heart of the island, for obvious reasons, because of the history during World War II, and the fact that a lot of Allied and Axis airmen actually lost their lives in and around the islands during those dark times.
Very much so. And we were talking earlier on about aviation heritage and how important it is that it should be preserved.
It is. There's been some great work recently, some planes that have not flown for 70, 80 years that are hopefully coming back, some big projects going on, and for young people to be able to see these planes flying, not a part of history in a book, but to actually see them flying, and to commemorate the lives of the men that flew them as well.
Very much so. That's an important part, and as you said, it's an important thing to get the youngsters understanding aviation, and it's important for them to come through with their careers later.
It is. Another part of the display that's maybe unseen or people don't really understand or see is the fact that a lot of the scouting groups and also some of the schools are invited up to actually see the planes up close and to meet the crews and stuff like that. So we're always trying to encourage the next generation of enthusiasts and hopefully volunteers as well.
Well, it's fantastic, Alex, and thank you so much for all that you do as well. It's a vital part of the air show.
It's a pleasure, and it's a great community effort, and it's a team, and we all enjoy doing it, and we enjoy greeting all our old friends that come back year after year.
Fantastic. Great to meet you, Alex. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
You're
Nev.
welcome.
Thank you.
There we go. Great interview. Thanks, Nev. He sounded very enthusiastic about what he was up to.
Very much so, and it was nice to have a chat with Alex. I had a longer chat with him after the camera stopped rolling, actually, as well. And but yeah, huge team of people down there making all this happen. And we've got another interview coming up in a couple of weeks' time with some of the other volunteers as well. So
wonderful,
and we will get round to showing some aviation action as well.
We will.
To give you an idea of what goes into some of the planning of all this.
I think that was one thing that me and Nev took from this, was the fact that we were privy to all the before air show goings on, which you don't normally get a chance to obviously see. So that was very good.
Indeed.
Very good.
I bet.
So we are going to bring the show to a close, episode 427 of the show. Have a quick look at the social medias. Let's have a look where you can find us online. Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search for us on there. Just search for Plain Talking UK. That WhatsApp number, if you want to send a picture to go on the green screen behind me or Matt, you can send that to +44 757 2249 or you can send us a voice message through there as well. We'd appreciate that very much. If you want to email the show, you can send us an email. podcast@plaintalkinguk.com is that email address. And if you want to check out the website, it's allthews.plaintalkinguk.com. You can check out our website. On there, you'll find links to Patreon, PayPal if you want to become a donator to the show. Does help immensely with putting the show together, like you wouldn't believe. And also the links are on there for our shop, where you can buy yourself some PTUK merchandise as well. And there's also the link on there if you do your shopping via Amazon. You can use the link on there. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it helps us to give a few little shekels our way every now and again.
Indeed.
So that's about it, really, guys, for this week. And yeah.
So just to let everybody know, next week, unfortunately, our programme won't be live. We do have a show all lined up for you. We've got a great interview with Chris Burwell. And have we got anything from the Jersey Air Show?
Yes, we have. We've got a 22-minute piece, I'm pleased to say, all about the OV-10 Bronco.
Oh, that is good. You need to watch that.
Carlos interviewing the pilot, and we get the chance to go airside, and we squeeze Carlos into the cockpit.
How exciting. I can't wait.
And we have a chat with the pilot, actually, at Jersey Airport itself.
It is one to see. Guys.
It's a good chat, and he's a fascinating fellow, isn't he?
I bet. So yes, so no live show next week, unfortunately, because I'm on holiday, whoop whoop, and Carlos, unfortunately, is also not able to come to the studio on Friday.
I'm in DJ mode
next Friday. Yeah. And Armando is probably going to be stuck in a hurricane somewhere, and Nev, well, you'll probably need to lie down, frankly, after the week you've got ahead.
I'll be flying back from Glasgow, so I'll still be on the plane somewhere. But remember, we have got a show next week.
Absolutely.
We have got a show. We will be back on there next week, just not live. Yep. So the show will be live. So if you all want to get together in the chat room, I might even dip into the chat room while I'm DJing, just for a laugh next week.
Indeed. I'll try. If the signal's good on the boat, I'll dip in as well. But
so we will be.
We'll be here. Haven't quite mastered being able to do a live show from the Norfolk Broads yet.
No.
Yeah.
So that is it then, guys and girls. Thanks to everyone in the YouTube chat room tonight, all the family members in there, as always. Thanks to you, and thanks to everyone who downloads the show as an audio podcast. And don't forget, when you download the audio show, if you get 2 minutes spare in your day, if you could give us a little review on the platform that you download us on, that would be fantastic.
Marvelous.
So that's it then for this week. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Whatever you're doing, if you're in the US, stay safe, stay away from that blooming old hurricane thing.
Absolutely.
And we will see you, we'll see you next week, kind of thing. And we'll be back again very soon on your screen. So from me, Carlos, here in my home studio, from Matt in the PTUK Master Suite studio, from Nev in his glorious studio in Buckinghamshire, and from Armando across the pond in the US in his stately home manor. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week. Kind of. Bye, everyone.